Welcome to the Business of Travel, the official podcast of the Global Business Travel Association. I'm Kevin Fleece, CMO at GBTA, and I'll be your host for today's episode. Today's topic is travel management in the age of AI. And I'm here today with Vineet Taneja, VP and General Manager at Brex. Vineet, great to have you here today.
Thank you for having me, Kevin.
Can you share a little bit about your background and role at Brex? And for those folks who may not be familiar with the company, share a little bit about what you all do.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, let me start with what Brex does. So Brex is a modern FinTech that started as a corporate card company for startups. Corporate cards have been offered to enterprises for many, many decades. But for startups, we had a unique underwriting model that really set up Brex as a very popular company in that segment. Over the last 2 years, we have expanded into spend management, which pretty much works with those corporate cards for mid-size and enterprise companies. So that's what Brex does. I have a background in building products for consumers and enterprises in my life before Brex, and had a chance very recently to build Microsoft Teams, which I call a consumer-grade product for enterprises. And as Brex was expanding into SaaS for enterprises, they were looking for leaders. And that's when I joined them about 2 years back. So at Brex, I build workflows. So travel management is a very big workflow that sits on our card and spend management platform. So that's what got us going into this. And that's been my foray for the past 2+ years at Brex.
Excellent. Thank you, Vineet. Well, let's jump right into it then. So we're here to talk about travel management in the age of AI. So take us back to just last year, Vineet. What happened in 2023 that really burst AI front and center in the world of technology?
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating, right? Last year, when we talk about AI, looks like 2023 was the year when AI took birth. But AI actually goes back almost 70 years. In the labs and universities and other places, the work has been going on for almost 7 decades. But what happens for any powerful technology is the technology is looking for a killer application and the ease of use for a user to really burst onto the scene. And that's pretty much what happened with AI, with generative AI, working on these large language models, really capturing the imagination of an average user to say, oh, I can talk to this person or this bot or this assistant, and they can reply to me in my language, in my, what I'm talking to them. I actually compare this particular thing that happened in 2023 versus what was going on a few years back with blockchain. Blockchain was almost like a hammer looking for the right nail. Crypto landed somewhat, right? Bitcoin as a currency, maybe NFTs, which fizzled out very, very fast. At least right now, we do not go into it much. There are very strong enterprise use cases that can be built over it. But right now, overall blockchain remains, let's find what the killer app should be. Versus AI found that killer app. And that was, I think, the main thing that happened in 2023 that really helped AI. And the use cases are actually so many that the companies who are building AI platforms are trying to keep up to supply the right technology at the right latency, etc., to this. So that's, in my mind, the big thing that happened. And with that came, AI being talked about in the C-suite and in boards, folks worrying about their jobs going away. These are all marks of a major technological shift, which is here to stay for decades. So that was a big thing. And when we take that into travel, even for travel, AI is not a net new thing because it has been operating behind the curtains for many years, like route optimization, pricing, scheduling of assets by airlines as well as hotels. But the customer-facing applications will now explode given the developments of the past year.
Right. It was like ChatGPT made it real for rank and file, whether you're an enterprise user or a consumer. It made it real, whereas blockchain has not had that aha moment. That was a
Absolutely.
real important distinction and a great comparison. Thank you. So let's double click on travel then. As you said, the implications are far reaching across the travel spectrum, but let's talk about what it means for a company that's using a managed travel solution. What does it mean for them? How can AI help these companies at various levels, at a corporate level for their travel managers, et cetera? Let's talk about that.
Correct, right? So at least three levels, whichever size of company we look at. Let's first look at a corporate level. I think suggestion of best practices for travel policies today remains almost like a purview of a few travel experts. If you happen to have a travel manager or there is a controller who knows the space or has managed travel policies, based on that, the travel policies for the company will be crafted and may be updated at some frequency. But now with AI, they don't have to just depend on expertise of one or two. There is a much wider knowledge base that the company can tap into to say based on their company size, industry, geographic location, and AI can actually suggest these are the things that are right for your company. And of course, the last mile, if you will still be humans curating that. But that is something that tapping into the knowledge base will be something that will happen at a corporate level. In fact, we're already seeing some of these at our customers, they're starting to do. So that's number one. Second, on the travel manager side, which is more around understanding and implementing these policies, right? A travel manager may join, things keep happening, people keep changing. New travel manager comes in and is handed over a 4 to 40 page PDF of travel policies. They have to take that and really make sure whatever tools they are using, they can use it. Can someone help them distill this down to those 10 to 15 parameters that actually matter for 95% of the spend that really has to be controlled through those policies? That will, travel managers will really find help with AI to do that. And second would be optimizing these policies on a regular intervals based on actual usage. Because yes, there will be, let's call it a V1 of the policies, but then as your companies are using it, maybe the company is going through a shift from, our salespeople do not travel as much, but we do more travel for offsites. How do we adapt to it? So as data comes in, that data will help and feed in to say your policies need to evolve in this manner. That's another one which, you can do it anecdotally, but this will make it more of a systemic way of doing it. And third, from an employee or the traveler perspective, I think there are two things that will happen. One is what the company can do, and second, just the industry itself. So booking travel, time efficiency, and taking the grunt work out, that will, there's an obvious answer that will happen. But if you look at airlines who have been using AI, they will actually have help in much higher on-time takeoffs and arrivals, because they have been starting to use those AI capabilities into those mini workflows that happen on the ground or below the wing, as they call it. Hotels will use it to make the guest experience much more personalized, to say, welcome back, Kevin. Would you prefer the same memory foam pillow last time? Right? Today, the front lines are not even given that data. So at max, they can say, welcome back, Mr. Vineet, because they know your reward number. That's it. But it has to go much beyond that. And now they will have a way to do that. And the last one is for the traveler, is almost like proactive rebooking for your flights and hotels based on some news event or a weather prediction, something in which today our TMCs or OTAs rely on, I need VIP travel service because this should be done. This will go much like even for an average traveler in a company, because the AI assistant will be able to help them.
Excellent. And when we think about the TMCs, Vineet, how could this affect the travel management companies? How do you see their world changing as a result of these AI innovations?
So I firmly believe, and of course, is widely known, that AI brings its power when there is data available at scale. Without data, there is no AI. AI essentially, is just learning based on the data it sees. Now, the top TMCs do have some of that data. And I emphasize the some, because what is also true is a large part of their tech stack probably needs a meaningful upgrade to unlock the value that they can really provide through AI. So that is something where I see that the TMCs will be making investments so that they can actually capture more data, which can then feed into the models, which can then help them help their customers. So that is number one. Second is, and there is enough literature out there by major consulting companies as well, saying that service operations is expected to be the function most affected by especially generative AI, where assistants will come in and like customer support provided by TMCs. A lot more of that can be done through assistants. There will be more efficient operations that the TMCs will feel, and reduced queue and waiting times for users and customers. So that is something which is bound to happen. But the third thing is pretty interesting. There's a study by Accenture which looks at about 20 industries and looks at their AI adoption maturity. When you look at that, TMCs or travel as an industry as a whole is actually below average today. Again, these are very, very early days, but it's still below average. And tech is, of course, the leader because, it just comes naturally to them. Because of this, I believe we will see greater collaboration and synergies between these two industries, right? The TMCs, of course, they're used to take some part of the stack and integrate, and IT integration was happening, but TMC will start going more towards becoming more tech savvy than they have been over the last 3 decades, and AI will force them to do that, because without that, they won't be able to survive.
Excellent. And let's talk about Brex then. Let's talk about your own platform and how Brex is thinking about AI within your products across your platform.
Yeah. So as I said, right, Brex provides corporate cards and provides a spend management solution. So there are 2 parts to when we look at business travel. First one is making sure that the travel happens within the country or within the company's policies, and these expenses are accounted for. That's the reason why any company would even use managed travel. And the second one is, of course, booking plus traveling. So let's take the first one. Brex's spend management platform that is already AI powered for many, many months now, does things like puts automatic memos for your travel expenses, add attendees to that dinner you went to with a customer or your own team, helps employees answer questions about their spend. So all of that is already happening, right? That is live out there. There are other exciting capabilities that are under works this year that will bring delight to users while making their bookings and also while traveling. Examples. Segment of 1. If I know Kevin more, I can actually make personalized recommendations to Kevin. Today, it's almost like, oh, did I add this traveler number in my profile? What is the suggestion that is being given to me for airlines and seats? AI system will make this almost like a 5-second thing where you say, Kevin, giving you the aisle seat because I know that's what you did for the last 4 times, right? Or while traveling, many a times like, I need to buy something because of a meeting coming up, or should I, take this customer out for dinner? And like, is this expense within policy? Is it even within budget? I don't need to go through rummaging or, talking to my EA. The AI assistant will be with them to do that. So that's something that's actively in works. And this is all because Brex has a dedicated team for AI R&D for 10 months now, right? So we've been really, really very plugged in, and we have a full team that across cards and spend management platform has been building these use cases.
Great. And then, as a pioneering organization in expense management, FinTech, let's take a look out into the future and maybe across your industry. How do you see AI being involved in the FinTech industry over the next few years?
Yeah. So, to answer that question, it's important for us to look at, when we say AI, this umbrella of AI, how does it break down? What does it break down to? So there are three constituent parts normally which are jumbled up to call AI. One is machine learning, which essentially, lots of data, joins of that data, and then providing insights through that data. So even in the world of fintech, and especially companies operating in this travel and expense space, the financial transaction data and users' behavior data, those joins, there are some very, very interesting insights that come out of that I see the fintech industry really, really leveraging. And that's, as I was pointing out, TMCs would be wanting to leverage that, and they may actually use the help of these fintechs and other tech companies to do that. Second is what is called robotic process automation, right? This is like, pre-fill this field for me, whether it is my, whether it's my frequent traveler number or the seat that I talked about, or that is a robot almost doing things for you so you can do things faster. So that is another one that the companies will heavily leverage. And the last one is assistants. We are seeing them becoming smarter almost by the month. And that is something that will happen more and more. But the critical part here across these three will become, as I said, data is the basis for everything in AI. And fintechs, by their nature, both infrastructure as well as processes, know how to handle data securely and in user data, privacy. Because, just from a financial regulations perspective, they will not survive if they don't do that. That I see actually as something that many companies will have to learn how to do. If we take the example of the New York Times versus OpenAI news that came out almost 2 days back, it's a classic example because there's so much data out there. And if you just let these AI bots free, they will consume everything. They do not know where the boundary is and where to stop. But when you bring this capability into the enterprise is like, this is my data. You shall not muck with it. You tell me how you will use it. Those aspects will become very, very, very critical before it finds wider adoption. And that is something which I feel the fintech companies are much more better positioned and will actually take advantage of.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for the great insights, Vineet. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today and having Brex on the podcast. You've been listening to The Business of Travel, the official podcast of the Global Business Travel Association. For more information about GBTA and its work, visit gbta.org and be sure to rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, thanks for listening.